Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're here for episodes 4 and 5 of Mushi-Shi. Very excited to be jumping back in here today, to be calming ourselves down, among other things, as we continue to delve further in. Now last week with episodes 2 and 3 I discussed a fair bit how this is going to, tell me how the show is actually going to be, what the pace of it's going to be. I guess the next episodes after the first are going to reveal a lot, and in my opinion they did. We have a pretty clear structure at the moment of Ginko showing up to random places and solving problems. I'd imagine that's going to continue in with 4 and 5. Always keeping that eye open to be surprised, but I would not be surprised if we just continue to do the same thing. 2 more new locations, 2 new Mushi guys, something like that. That's probably the expectation. Either way, I've got the YouTube comments up here ready to go, probably that one initially. 4 comments here today with a longer one up the top from Iwayuru. Starting here today with Glank. I said during this scene, again the scene with Ginko by the river at the end of that episode, that it would be something that you would come back to after the fact and be like, oh, that's why. I reckon it's indicating a lot more than I can see at the moment with my limited set of knowledge. Glank here goes with the interpretation of temptation from the river. Again, even now, despite Ginko knowing what he knows, still feels that same temptation that Sui felt in that episode. I think that's quite astute. It shows a lot of discipline on his part, but also shows a desire to actually do it as well, which is a little sprinkle of human in a character that's been pretty infallible thus far. So yes, a scene to go back to as it continues saying, keep in mind going forward. All those things. Next comment here from Sal, kind of going into the reason why we have kids as major characters in a lot of these things. And again, kids are more spiritually tuned in general and more perceptive to worldly phenomena. As you grow older, those senses get dulled out. Again, this is in a lot of different fictions, if you want to call them that. Again, you stop believing in magic as you grow up. When you stop believing, you lose that touch, you lose that sense. I don't know, even like Peter Pan areas there almost. So again, that's why we've chosen to use a lot of kids thus far. Again, probably a little bit more in tune with a lot of this stuff. Next up here, we have Lazy Joe with a little anecdote about, I guess the first, or one of the first kind of one-shot things that was, the first iteration of Mushishi. And it was episode 2's story, The Light of the Eyelid, though at that early stage for the story, it wasn't kind of figured out the setting yet. Ginko and Biki were wearing modern clothing. I think I saw something, there was Ginko in some track pants or something in the Discord, which scared the daylights out of me. I didn't like that at all. All this is to say that exact time period for the show isn't particularly relevant. It's taking place in some arbitrary time in Japan, you would imagine. We theorize here between the Edo period and the Meiji period. Yeah, okay. If you wanted to be that specific about it. Again, I prefer it just doesn't really matter. It's not going to be that relevant to the story. It could be 1,000 years ago, it could be today. And I feel like there's also a poetry to that a lot of this stuff and a lot of these concepts are standing the test of time. Last comment here from Iwayuru, where again, I'm just going to be picking and choosing a few little bits. For a start, we go back into our Monogatari bag. And again, it's not like I'm still the same way I was last week. It's not that I disagree with you. It's just that there's a lot more that goes into a show and its production than just the concepts. And again, albeit, I didn't consider these as I hadn't seen the episodes yet. The snail stuff here in particular is pretty pointed if you know your Bakemonogatari, but yeah, it wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about editing style and whatnot. It's very different from that perspective. Like, leagues different. And the way it makes me feel, which is an internal one, completely different as well. Kind of continuing off from the previous point that we had in a previous comment, the kids stuff is more of a coincidence than a pointed thing, albeit we can deviate away from something and it not be a continuous thing, if that makes any sense. So I still do think when we're writing the story, this is a decision made, even if it doesn't continue to be like that rotely structural that there needs to be a kid, Like, I still feel like there was a reason behind those decisions, so to say. Now, this paragraph here was probably the most interesting one for me, and this is when we go into if people know what Mushi are and what Mushi aren't, and who knows, who doesn't know, that kind of thing, I guess. And it brings up a great point. And I knew this, right? Mushi means bug. Bug is an everyday word. So if somebody says, oh yeah, it's a bug, people will know what you mean. So again, it's arbitrary. You can run into people who know what Mushi are, and when you talk to them about Mushi, they'll be like, ah, yes, the spirits, of course. And you could also run into people that just think they're bugs. Like, both can be simultaneously true, especially in the case of old mate with the guy with the thing in his ear, like in the start of the Snow episode. He probably just thought he, was some kind of parasite that he got. Which isn't entirely wrong, there was just more of a mystical element to it. Hence why Bicky was very surprised when the big old worm came out of the eye as well. It's like, when you said you had a Mushi, I didn't think it was that, I guess, as well. So yeah, I guess we're just generally on the lookout for, hey, is this person in tune with the spiritual side? Then they'll know what Mushi means in that context. The kind of whole finger heart stuff we were talking about, sure. Or if it's just a side character, it's somebody that wouldn't know any better, they probably just think we're talking about a bug. Cool. Just keep that in mind, I guess. Yeah, this line was probably pretty cutting from the mother in episode 2 as well. It wasn't your fault that this happened. It was ours for taking pity on you. I'll jump in the river too, if I'm honest, big dog. What was the next one here? Yeah, this one, right? Just this general idea, another Monogatari thing, of course. Hey, because I'm a Mushishi, Mushi are going to kind of be around me, or I'm more inclined to find them, right? I'm more in tune, like stand users attract other stand users, Araragi attracts oddities because he himself is an oddity. Spoilers for Monogatari, I guess. Yeah, it's all connected. It's that same idea. Keep that in your head. It's going to keep coming up. And once again, really nailing these moments. It can be quite a dark and emotional show, but also these really specific feelings that you kind of can't explain. Some of the audio design was really good in that regard. Kind of covering your ears, you can kind of hear an echo, kind of hear the ocean, kind of hear some movement. That's sounding like lava. There being some philosophy in that. The one I was doing last week with if you close your eyes, again, like this, you can kind of still see some light. I can definitely still see some light because I've got a little bit of lighting here. But yeah, they're really good at nailing... Like, oh, I never really thought about that feeling, but it did exist. It always was there. So kudos to the show for that. It's, again, that same feeling of it being resonant throughout time. These are probably things that people have been feeling for a long time because they're almost kind of facts about being a human. Yeah. Really makes the show stand the test of time, really makes it timeless in that regard. It's really cool. And yeah, we'll put this one here on the long reading list that I do have as well. But yeah, thanks again for the YouTube comments, of course. Now we'll jump over to the Patreon and give them a shout out if you want episodes, what it would be, 6 and 7, of course. If you want them 1 week early, it's up there on Patreon. Linked in the description below. $6 a month. You get access to a bunch of other stuff on the channel as well. Takopi, Sayonara, Zetsubou Sensei. It's all there. It's all awesome. Look forward to it. Many people have been looking forward to it, I guess. Many people are patrons, such as Mickey Babbers, AF, AJ, Bananarama Hamadama-sama, BD422, Bisa, Capella, Choberibi, Copley, Dapper Dwarf, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fruit, Glorian Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Hans Peter, Hibiki Tachibana, Ika, Iwayuru, Yako Yavnen, Jami Boo, Joran, Kasogtha, Clem, Nosta, Kot Benjamot, Lick H, Lou, Marco-san, Matthew Bratcher, Miru, Mistake L. Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Aussie, Parnek, Pencil Shop 333, Run Lad BNK, St. Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Tentacle Member, Waifu Overdose, Without a Net, Yuki Ali, Hakomancer, Binchi, Kelvin, Voodoo Chili, Aiden O'Brien, Guano, Vibrant Weaver, and Zach. Thank you to everybody for giving me money. I enjoy the money. Again, Mushishi, kind of an episodic show. It's not really something we'll lead in with, but just keeping in mind that Mushi are kind of scary. They have abilities. They're sometimes antagonistic, and there's normally a pretty poetic way to beat them somehow that Ginkgo is sure to find out. So thus far we've done kind of stories around, I don't know, a lot of things, but very recently kind of sight and hearing. Are we going to continue with some senses maybe? A smell Mushi would be terrifying, so maybe not. Anyway, it's kind of free game. You can kind of go whichever direction you want, and that's kind of exciting too. So again, let's jump into episode 4 of Mushi-Shi right now. Radio Mushi-Shi episode 4 up there, ready to go. 23 minutes and 38 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly with your own copy. I have the psych version. I don't know if it's very similar to anything else, but it's out there. Either way, there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below for your viewing pleasure. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. And straight back in once again. Did I change my stuff? I don't think I changed my stuff. Every time, man. Alright, we should be good now. Sweet. I gotta remember this is a show. I don't know why it defaults to the dub. It does. Annoying. Good thing this thing starts on the opening, of course. I don't know, it'd be an interesting kind of breakdown. There's probably some data there about how many kind of anime watchers go dub versus sub. You'd imagine dub wins out, especially with more mainstream stuff. I feel like I've come in very high energy. Just settle down. I believe this one was called the Pillow Pathway or something like that. I saw in the file title. Lens flare. Very cool. It's just a real tree, dog. Mushishi. Go on then, weave me a tale. Some cherry blossoms. Kind of early autumn. Oh, hello. Hello, ginkgo. Ooh, premonitions. Well, how realistic are they? Interesting. What is it, though? It's pretty often. Balance. Exactly. Okay. Thank you, mysterious man. Would you take his medication? I certainly wouldn't. Mushi really nebulous, aren't they? Like, what do you mean they're in my dreams? Okay. That was a weird kind of bit there for a moment. Just kind of two lines. Oh, yeah, it turned to shit. Interesting. Okay, intriguing. Mustn't have kept balance very well. Is he still here? Yes. Hello, sire. Did you have a premonition, a bad one? Before I talk a bunch, let's watch and see. Listen and learn, damn it. Ugh. What the fuck? That looks really cool. I would be a little bit more hesitant, but sure. Cool. So we are going where I think I'm going. Does the premonition lock in something to be the case? So it's good when good things are happening, but they're going to blame you if bad things happen, you know? Because there's always an equal and opposite reaction, right? So if good things are happening now, means bad things might happen later. Listen to the bug master. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, we're still working good. We're still doing good things. That same shot again. Doki doki. Exactly. Because if I see it, I feel in control of it, right? Well, that's only natural. Even if, again, these things are going to happen anyway, me seeing them beforehand gives me some agency. Can he dream me a big McDonald's burger? I feel like that's dinner sorted, I think. Hmm. Whoa! Tsunami indeed. A little bit close to home as of recently. It was that big scare before, right? Oh, yeah, she's. That sucks to be you, man. Hmm. Now, I didn't expect us to take this angle. Gorgeous episode thus far, too. Yeah. I mean, our daughter's kind of hella dead. It's hard to cheer her up. What did you say? Hmm. Hmm. Gotta tell me. Cope. The fuck? Chat? What the fuck? They got like Thanos snapped. What was that? Hmm. Nope. Or maybe, okay, hang on. Well, that would be the only logical way for this to make sense, right? Yeah. So the Genesis wasn't nature, the Genesis was me. Huh. But why is that an excuse to withhold information? Okay. You wouldn't be able to handle it. I'm really conflicted here. I'm kind of with the guy. But he did give the advice not to do, and he did the exact opposite of the advice. Okay, seems like semantics, but sure. It's always like sunlight with these guys or something. Yeah, they're kind of nocturnal. What is he doing? Now bro's overdosing? No, I told you to keep on living. Well, this is a pretty cheery episode thus far. When somebody talks in their sleep, don't talk back with them. Don't converse. I can't say I expected him to say that. Sick. There's the geese. There's the reeds. That's really cool. Hmm. Hmm. And he's back. Oh, shit. Cool. Bro's got the plasma television. Oh, shit. Ginkgo to the rescue, man. I really love that scene of him looking at himself, like, dreaming. It was the damn pillow's fault. The pillow pathway. I don't think he's going to be doing much living for much longer. Ooh. Maggots. Got to a point where it was kind of destroy the parasite, destroy the host, yeah? Oh. Very well done. He will continue to live, sure. Blaming the pillow is very interesting. Interesting. I bought my pillows from Kmart. They're not that special. But it's a real cool concept. I was about to say we're about there. Yeah. Cool. Well, didn't have a place to rest anymore. I really liked that one. I thought it was very evocative. Even if, again, I'm quite kind of airy on the concepts at the moment at play and the nitty gritty, the set in stone stuff. But I think the concepts are fascinating. It's the first time I would argue that we just straight up have a. Oh, shit, you wouldn't even say a negative, at least leaning towards negative kind of ending, right? The story is kind of framed as a little bit more of a tragedy and a cautionary tale as opposed to, the others thus far. Um, I like the swap of the premonitions not being premonitions, but instead they being kind of generated from the dreams. I felt like that was a really cool split, something I didn't expect. I feel like Ginkgo feels a little bit guilty for his actions too through that middle portion, which I thought was a different look for him. Also appreciated, of course. This one didn't really calm me down as much. It kind of. I'm not bummed out, but I'm not happy either. Put it that way. Go on then. Give me the next episode. At least the title. Traveling Swamp. Like Shrek. It's going to be like a Shrek type episode, maybe. Yeah, let's bring up episode 5 now. And rightio, there we have it. Episode 5 up there, ready to go. 23 minutes and 38 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly with your own copy. Have the psych subs, of course. There'll be a picture-in-picture version in the description below. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Rightio, 3, 2, 1, go. Indeed. How does a swamp travel? How far is the travel? Is it like from here to here? Because that's fine. If it's from like kilometers away that way to kilometers away that way, that's a bit fucking strange. What does it mean for a swamp to travel? Anyway. I'm definitely gonna like dream tonight Probably about the maggots living in my pillows. Chances are high. Lake. Boat. Sunny. Ugh, what the fuck is that? Huh. Interesting. Adashino Sensei. Oh, do you have another different problem? Probably something to do with the traveling swamp. Liquid Mushi. Well, I guess we've been everywhere else. Why not go underwater? There. Cringe. Woman. Huh. We didn't even go over and see her at all? They're following you around, big dog. Everywhere I go, I always take the weather with me. Ah, she's still here too. Some kind of waterbender. Katara. Green girl. Interesting. I really like the color. Oh no. Some kind of liquid mushi. Sugoi. Yeah, what's your deal? Yeah, I'm off to sell some garbage. Nah, I'm used to stuff like that. Exactly. You're talking to the right person. Suiko. Ugh. Don't do that. Yo. Wicked Witch style. It was natural to you. I mean, just don't drink any. So you were like drowning. Thought the hair changed color there too. Okay. Well, goes to show your connection there, right? Everyone's always sneaking away at night in this show. No one could ever get a good night's rest. Huh. Interesting. Who's that? Who's Skeletor on the right? What the fuck? Okay. So she was a sacrifice. A sacrifice that also got pushed. It's all coming together a little bit more now. There's always something fucking really sad and shitty going on, right? I can just never meet the mountain mermaid in peace. There it goes. Yeah, I go where the water goes, buddy. Just keep following. Interesting. Is that where you lead into the start of the episode where he's like, Okay, now let's go investigate some more. No. Oh, you do know something. Hmm. Okay. Let's try to catch it at the pass then. Rare item. I'm just gonna make a call. Ooh. Okay, let's double check between both maps then. Overlap the maps. Yeah. Well, we know a thing or two about subterranean rivers. Some of them are gold. Let's try and catch him at the pass. A net. Alright, got everyone together. We love Adashino Sensei. No. It's also your value to society. Yeah, that she may be full liquid. I mean, yeah, but does she understand she has another choice? Ooh. Go on. Since there's a personal bias, him wanting to rectify the old situation coming into this one. And a common theme between both episodes of emphasizing to live, right? Keep living. But either way, let's focus on the... whatever the hell this is. Whoa! No, she got through. Passed straight through. Only the kimono remaining. Huh. He's not having a good run, Ginkgo. What did I say in the start of the video? He was kind of infallible. Less so now. Batting poorly this episode. Or these episodes. Alright, the fishing's good though. Or... huh? How the fuck? Interesting. Halfway between. Dough Girl. Thank you, Dough Girl. What if the kimono is linked? Probably most certainly was. Okay. Complicated set of emotions. I don't feel very fortunate. Maybe she does. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she keeps dyeing her hair. Well, at least you got away from those people that sacrificed you. That's probably pretty good too. They keep following you around, big dog. Huh. What do you mean by that? Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Hmm. Another very interesting one. Kind of, again, the idea of kind of marrying the river god or the water god, so to say, and then kind of going through like a life cycle there within as well, and then finally being kind of set free, and also just the general idea of, again, kind of like how it works, like bringing the nutrients from the land down into the water, that activating some portion of the circle of life, the seasons and everything working together to bring forth new life again, to sustain a village. In that way, her sacrifice for that initial village probably helped another in turn. There's a lot of cyclical stuff going on here that I really like too. Yeah, again, I think the implication is that, okay, yeah, we left a bunch of dry kind of swamp beds that then got kind of used again. It's kind of like we created swamp offspring. So there, from kind of where the kind of swamp has traveled through. Again, an interesting idea. Cool. And a happier ending than episode 4 too, which is appreciated. Yeah, sure. I hope Adashino sticks around too. He seems like a little bit more of a recurring character. Fingers crossed, I liked him. Do the Jew? For sure. And yeah, I'll return either a little bit later tonight or tomorrow for some analysis on those 2 episodes, but once again, largely enjoyable. Once again, very relaxing. It was some Mushishi. Very, very fun. Alright, I'll see you in a little bit for the analysis. And we're back. It's the next day. 2 more episodes of Mushishi in the book. What did I think? Broadly, really positive on them again. I just think it's such a solid show, art-wise, aesthetic-wise, feeling-wise, writing-wise, that you just kind of, you know you're getting quality is my point there, I guess. I have been liking doing these in kind of 2-episode chunks because it kind of gives me a theme to jump off of. I would say the theme in this one was things don't always go to plan, right? In the show up to this point, it's kind of been Ginkgo shows up, saves the day, fixes the problem, everybody walks away better for it, even if, again, there is some sacrifice there. Thinking back to episode 1, of course, in that kind of regard, like, again, Renzu is a Mushi now, and again, kind of Ginkgo has to live with that. But again, it seems that it's something that she wanted. It seems that it's something that kind of left a happy situation when he left, after his job was done. So fine, that's good. I would say in both episodes here today, but probably 4 more than 5, we leave the kind of episode at least a little bit sad about things, I would say. 4 is a little bit more dark than 5, again, reiterating that. 5 is a little bit more about, it's bittersweet. It's a happy kind of rebirth type thing at the very end where it's kind of left offspring and whatnot, and we get a happy ending for the girl there. But 4 is where the juice is. 4 is just straight up, like, depressing. Like, it's a cautionary tale. It's framed as almost like a Shakespearean tragedy, almost like... Yeah, it was a different look for the show and one that I really liked. We're less formulaic, it's multifaceted. It's really nice, it's good. Of course, the Mushi here is still the stars. It's the thing that ties all these episodes together. They can kind of do whatever they want. They're very, very broad. And it allows us to get creative in a way I really like. So yeah, a couple of things I want to break down. I want to break down this one here with... I forget his name, but the main character of this episode here, his actions there within, his mistakes, the idea of balance in the episode and not maintaining balance, and, attributing blame to certain things and not attributing blame to certain other things. It's a very, very interesting episode to unpack because I'm pretty sympathetic towards the guy. Like, I'm not sure if Ginkgo was entirely correct with the way he went about it. Maybe some room for reflection there. Blah, 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 blah. it's an interesting one. That's one thing to dive into. The other one is I want to follow this line of, okay, in the following episode, this girl gets sacrificed to kind of be the wife to the water god or whatever, and then we kind of go down and there's a green mass that kind of saves her and then kind of brings her along places, and she keeps that kimono on, which kind of signifies her role there, and then they go off and they leave offspring, and then they go out into the water, and then he dies, and we shed the kimono, and then she's on the beach and she's been like set free. So to me, I'm reading that as like, okay, there is kind of like a taking of a bride here, IMO. And again, a leaving of children, a leaving of legacy. Obviously, this water god is at the end of its, or whatever the green is, the Suiko or whatever it was, something like that. It was at the end of its kind of lifespan, and it's kind of expanded out and done its part. But hey, you're still young, you should go off and be saved and live another life. So it's kind of sacrificial there and really benevolent from the Mushi. Either way, that's what I kind of got from it. There was also that new character, Adashino, who I thought was quite swell as well. So yeah, we'll jump back through here. We'll see how much we have to say. As always, we're just trying to get out of the week with our head above water as well, pardon the pun. So yeah, we'll see. Now this one structurally is fascinating, episode 4, because in contrast to something like an episode 2, Ginkgo is here immediately. We're immediately introduced to the problem. We immediately give a solution, and then the subject kind of, doesn't follow the solution and things go awry, and we need to unpack what happened a little bit later on. Again, a show like this with an expert just going around solving things can get a little bit formulaic. I like how we mix it up by, I guess, changing timescale, kind of changing when in the story we're telling it. We're telling it post-tragedy. It's like a post-mortem. I just thought that was fascinating. Again, we have different levers to pull, different gears that we can go into with the show, which is appreciated. So immediately Ginkgo's here, introduces himself as a Mushishi. Hey, I bet you're having dreams of premonition, right? And I bet those dreams probably have something to do with Mushi and are probably bad news. So you should listen to me. And again, he's inclined to believe him initially, right? Because he's right, I am having these dreams. If he knows that much, then maybe I should continue to listen to the guy, right? The Mushi in your dreams, they're responsible for these premonitions. They will multiply more and more. Take this medicine here, as it will dull these Mushi. Very specific instructions as the dreams get to about every second day. Take these drugs. They'll help suppress what's going on. Before that point, should be pretty okay. And yeah, this was the one I clocked immediately as well, Okay, so at this certain point, take the drugs, but don't take them all. Just take a little bit. That word, balance, that's kind of what we're doing. So for me here, the dreams and the premonitions and the Mushi here aren't a disease. They aren't something we want to outright get rid of, or even at that point, it's something that is detrimental, is like a disease, but it is integrated too far to the point of we cannot remove it, right? Think about, I'm not like a cancer expert or anything, but kind of like that. But a lot more of a positive context, I guess. Like, hey, this thing has progressed too far to the point of removal, we now just need to control it. That's the idea, right? And controlling, maintaining balance, that kind of thing. Because if we go too far in one direction, it could result in the end of your life and be toxic. Which, again, this is a setup because he ends up taking all of the drugs towards the end of the episode there. Really, again, wanting to emphasize this point of the Mushi's integration into the character here, because when he cuts that pillow, it cuts through his very soul, right? It forever severs that connection. He doesn't have dreams again after that point either. Like, it's clearly a pretty integral link that we have going on, and Ginkgo is emphasizing the importance of such a thing. Some really smart stuff editing-wise early on, a number of pretty recognizable shots, very beautiful as well, well constructed, such as the tree and this shot here, which kind of get flipped and subverted after the year break. Case in point, here's the following year, or not even, it hasn't even been a year and it's all kind of dilapidated and fucked. Clearly something hasn't got a plan here. There was also a little interstitial there of the narrator saying that you should not converse with the person that talks in their sleep, something land of utopia. These concepts will come back later, just kind of keeping them in mind. Once again, reiterating that I just love this setup, it immediately asks questions and gets the audience engaged. Okay, a year's passed, you gave him some advice. and now it's fucked. What happened in between? Then we kind of fill in. It's good, right? I was intrigued the entire time. For the next 6 minutes or so, we're kind of in his perspective and we unpack what this character did. Still unsure if we got a name there. Let me check. The man's name is Jin, which is an interesting name. Okay. Jin is like person, right? Or again, maybe there's some other kanji stuff going on, but Jin seems like a pretty generic name. It's an everyman. It's pretty easy to kind of slot yourself into this guy and put yourself into his shoes, I guess. Thought this water here looked really good. I feel like it looks better than the other CG kind of liquid stuff we've seen in the show, where I think it's the lighting that's doing it. It looks really good. Yeah, I wanted to say that this is an improvement for sure. Anyway, just continuously fascinated with the structure here, right? Because it's just clinical. It's just no time wasted, just explaining what's happened, and we fully on board. We're fully with all the characters at every single point here. So Jin sees in his dream that there's a water vein here, kind of a log falls and like activates it. He goes here in real life, and lo and behold, we found the water. This would be good for kind of crop production and whatever, right? Hey, thanks, Jin. You're an asset to the community based on your premonition skill. It gives him some amount of fame in the community. It gets him gifts in return. It allows him to prosper and keep his family safe. It's something that he wants to continue doing. Even again, getting away from his normal trade of just being a kind of blacksmith, blade sharpener type dude. We do cover a ton of content in this episode, and a show that I've kind of said previously is kind of slow. This episode rockets by. And yeah, I feel like executing a story it's essentially like a full arc of a tale in a kind of one episode. I feel like it's masterful, no? It's like really, really damn good. And once again, those words, no time wasted at all. We see the wife a bit kind of has a bit of trepidation here, right? You know, the Mushishi said this would happen. What if what he said is continuing to be true? Good thing we have those drugs. Please follow what he says. She seems a little bit more superstitious and wary than Jin is. This is a great escalation. The premonitions kind of increase. They continue. And disaster has struck. These things are dangerous. They can lead to adverse things happening. Good thing I was able to warn the people there, but their homes are still destroyed. It's a great kind of, okay, we found water, that's great. What if these things were fucking violent and there was like lives on the line? Just, again, as we continue to ramp, it's a good part of the ramp. It's the next step up. This is when Jin also starts to clock a little bit that, hey, these mightn't be just premonitions. This might be me in control of such things. Okay, this is dangerous. I care about my family. If these are actually coming from me, then I think it's on me to try to stop doing this shit, right? Like, shit, it could have been us in that cliff, and we couldn't have got out in time. This power, this Mushi, it's dangerous, right? However, he continues to garner fame and kind of fortune, fish, from the rest of the town. It becomes hard for him to stop. So at this point, wife seems pretty on board with the premonitions, right? It must have been a gift given to you to spread out good things to other people. That's very optimistic. But despite that feeling, I still kind of felt like it was bad. Just felt wrong about it. So I ended up taking some of the medicine, right? And this is the tragedy, right? This is the worst thing that could have happened. Okay, well, what have we emphasized about Jin thus far? Family man, really cares about, you know, his people, his family, right? A disaster, divorced from his abilities, divorced from his premonitions, just happens to hit the village and his daughter is caught in the kind of chaos and passes away. Now, Jin is proven correct. He feels bad about these premonitions, and as it turns out, these premonitions are bad. They eventually lead to the fucking green moss sickness, right? But he isn't sure, and this tsunami adds the doubt. It's like, okay, well, I'm the premonition guy. How the fuck didn't I know that this was coming? Oh yeah, the drugs. It must have been the drugs. Where he's just being led astray. That's not what's happening here at all. It was just an unlucky coincidence. And again, really adds to the tragedy of this character. Like I don't know. He didn't really make that many mistakes. He just kind of got fucked. Sucks to be him. And beyond just his family as well, the other thing that the episode's been setting up thus far, his fame in the community, his fame around being the premonition guy, well, that's all coming back to bite him now. how could he not see this coming? It's an unspeakable tragedy on the entire village. He knew about the landslide there before. How the fuck didn't he know about this? Maybe he was just a fraud. Maybe it was just luck. We're no longer going to trust him. He loses that status. Some really fantastic stuff in the framing and direction to get this across. Everybody else devastated in the dark, while I was the only one illuminated, not using said illuminated ability, not using my chosen one status to help everybody around him. As well as his wife. He can't even bear to touch her and kind of, comfort her here in this time. He feels like he failed. Again, it's all on him. He feels all the responsibility here, even if, again, that isn't fair. That's not what's happening. Ends up taking the blame on the medicine. It's all because I took this stuff. Some nice mirroring stuff here too as well. The kind of upside of me and the bottom side, the kind of flip, the mirror, the Mushi, right? On this other side, I didn't trust him. It's all the medicine's fault. So again, at that point, I stopped taking the medicine. More and more premonitions happened. We still got the fame from the community back, but it seems like my wife, she had a name again. She's still not quite right. Again, the loss of a child will do that. Then one day, I had the most terrible premonition of them all. Woke up in the middle of the night, sweating because of it, where the very next day, this terrible dream comes to fruition. Look at that. I gotta be careful about playing video on this as well. I had to cut some stuff last week because YouTube didn't like it, so they're gonna be pretty strict about this stuff. Gotta be on my best behavior. Yeah, premonition happens in real life. Everybody actually starts turning to dust. Now, finding a water vein, explainable. Landslide, explainable. Even tsunami, explainable. This, inexplicable. This, supernatural. This is the proving point whereby he discovers, I'm the one causing this. It's not premonitions. I'm the catalyst, And yeah, about 6 minutes. That's the point at which we stopped telling this story to Ginkgo. And yeah, that was the point at which I became the only one left in the village. Now, I thought we were going to take this in a direction after that line just before the ad break where he's like, you deceived me, Ginkgo. I thought you were going to be full-on antagonistic, blaming the Mushishi showing up in the first place for why this even occurred in the first place as well. Which is just wrong. The scene plays out, it's a lot more sympathetic than that. But as I said, he continues to elaborate, and he's right. Again, Ginkgo he wasn't forthcoming with the details fully in a way that I would have appreciated, right? Because again, this Mushi is happening to me, right? I should be the one to know that my premonitions are actually going to become true, and all that kind of stuff. If I had that knowledge with me, I never would have stopped taking the medicine. I would have absolutely believed that the tsunami itself was an act of something else beyond me, right? And my lack of ability to predict it wasn't because of me taking the medicine. The entire folly and the entire reason for this disease spreading would not have happened if Ginkgo was initially forthcoming with everything. But one whose ability is already kind of locked in place, having the knowledge that his premonitions do come to life, how would that have changed things as well? Food for thought, maybe. It's hard to blame either party here. It's just a shitty situation. I feel like this is kind of BS, because again, this is the justification as to why he doesn't tell him. You wouldn't be able to handle the magnitude of your creations. So if you had the knowledge of your power, you wouldn't be able to handle it and you would mentally deteriorate. Once the parasite has taken root, we can't get rid of it. That's fair enough. I just don't know how you know that the knowledge would deteriorate him. It sounds like cope, and it sounds like you kind of coming back here and being like, I kind of made a boo-boo. I kind of fucked up. And again, why leave that in your hands instead of mine? Why not give me all the information? I would have happily died from this as opposed to letting my family die, letting my village die, right? Because he cares. He cares if nothing else. So allow me to make that choice. This is when we get into the other central theme of this episode, as well as the next kind of the idea of living, and that seeming something really, really important to Ginkgo, not giving up, continuing to persevere despite trauma and despite the things, the kind of, hand you've been dealt in life. Once again, much like the river from episode 2, I feel like this is indicative of a larger story and a backstory for Ginkgo. Why is he a Mushishi? Was he cursed with knowledge in the same way that Jin here is? Did he want to impart the same lesson that he himself had to learn onto this man? And probably did it in a poorer way than was initially expected. Potentially an episode to revisit story-wise once we gather some more information as the show continues. This Mushi here has the name of Imino no Owai, which is probably something I should Google. Yeah, I'd probably be better off, maybe my phone can do these kanji for me. Something dream image, maybe? Again, you guys are better at the Japanese than I am, but I like that each of the Mushi has their own little name. I don't know, it's like a little puzzle for me. I enjoy it. So this is when Ginkgo's finally more forthcoming with the information. Again, explaining the Mushi here. It multiplies, right? And that multiplication just gives a greater chance of these dreams actually going out and touching reality. They're also very weak individually. They die when exposed to sunlight. So again, that's why they've kind of persisted in dreams. We sleep at night. Makes sense that they would come out during night as well. Just makes sense. And yeah, some more really cool stuff regarding Mushi and their nebula status. They can progress from dream to reality, unlike us, right? Gives them this really kind of intangible spiritual quality. I really like it. Again, it's just cool. Ginkgo here also mentions that he must find the pathway. Ironically, that pathway is already in the frame. Very, very cool. And as Ginkgo kind of ponders about increasing the dosage of the medicine, he goes and overdoses. This is essentially a suicide attempt. We've told him that the medicine's toxic, but he continues to take it anyway, just in this last-ditch effort to stop whatever this thing that has infected him from doing its thing. Stop it from proliferating. This is the direct antithesis to this "you have to continue to live" line from Ginkgo earlier, and talks to his continued effort to try and save him. No. You can't just deal with what you've been given in life. You must continue to go on and continue to live. Once again, it seems super significant to Ginkgo that he does this. For reasons we'll discover later, probably. Once again, I really like this episode in conjunction with the next episode. Another one where somebody seems to be, resigned to their lot in life, and Ginkgo seems determined to get them to want to live again and get them to turn over the new leaf and continue despite. That's kind of the idea here. Just continue despite what you've been given. Yeah. I'd love to continue the show and just find out what he's talking about, but it seems so significant for Ginkgo, such a laid-back character, to be insistent like this continuously. Yeah. What's happened before, buddy? That's what I want to know. At this point, Ginkgo tries to converse with somebody who's talking in their sleep, which is the direct opposite of what the narrator said to do, so probably bodes poorly. Ginkgo here says that the fault doesn't lie with him, nor does it lie with the Mushi either. This is another thing kind of from episodes 2 and 3 that we learned. Mushi are just kind of a fact of life. The fault doesn't lie with them for anything that they do. They're just doing what they're programmed to do, if that makes any sense. Mushi aren't malicious. They're like life, right? They're like a raging river. They're like earthquakes. They're like anything. They're just a thing that happens. And bad things can happen, but also good things can happen, right? Water's a classic example, like the rushing river I talked about before, but also water gives life, They're just doing the thing. They don't know what they're doing. You can't be mad at them. He does say here no one is to blame, but I feel like you feel a tiny tinge of internal blame maybe as well, even if you shouldn't either. Therefore, don't die. You haven't done anything wrong. And he's talking about wild geese. It seems that Jin gets to a point here where he starts conversing back. Ginkgo asks the question of where the hell are you? And he responds, right? I'm in this field of reeds and the wild geese. We hear harsh ringing, just kind of thing that's been associated with Mushi activating. And we see almost in kind of a TV sense, his dreams play out on the screen behind him. Again, Jin believed he saw geese. He saw a flock of Mushi flying through the air. This is their daytime, if it makes any sense. They're nocturnal. They're out at night. They're doing their thing, flying all over the place. This emphasizes two things. There's a lot of them. We've let this thing fester for a very long time. And that once again, they're just a fact of life. Like the geese out there, right? We can't understand them. Jin can't, but they're just doing their thing, man. Some really gorgeous framing this episode, man. Probably the visual highlight of the run thus far, you would say. Episode 1 has some really nice stuff in it too, I might add. Jin, the family man here, is comforted by his family, able to hug them one last time, where his wife parrots Ginkgo in saying that it isn't your fault. You're not the one to blame here. You're not culpable. Because again, he didn't know. He's always blaming himself. He blames himself for the premonitions and what happens to them, right? Like, it's such a really nice moment. I really like it. Hey, stop worrying. Almost these kind of, because he's also in the process of dying and under a lot of medical care at the moment too. It's like, hey, don't lose your life. Don't blame yourself for this. It's not your fault. Continue to live despite this, you know? But a really awesome moment here is when we cut out of that, just kind of straight out of that conversation, he like snaps back to reality and he's having an out-of-body experience. For me, this is the visual representation of, despite the wife's words, he still blames himself, right? He still wants to self-destruct. There's still this house fire that grows from his own internal dreams. The dream just swaps like that, like I'm changing channels on a TV. It's almost like, again, the pessimistic part of his brain, the negative part, kicking back in and saying, no, you are to blame, right? That kind of self-doubt manifesting. You are to blame, and hey, what if you had a taste of your own medicine? What if we had something kind of expand out from your dream to real life, helping you to immolate, helping you to die. In this point, we're kind of within the screen where we see another screen again, which is just fucking awesome. It's so cool. Yeah, the framing here is fucking awesome. What a cool episode. Yeah, because Jin's here, he's within the screen, and that's being projected to Ginkgo. So Ginkgo's seeing this stuff. Like him walking and waking up here and seeing this whole scene on his screen, right? Where we also note here that the Jin makes the realization that the pillow's the problem. He sees it light up immediately after. Okay, that must be where they are in the kind of physical world, leading him to his pillow/later. But Ginkgo here springing to action as the fire kind of spreads in the screen. It spreads in real life. We need to save Jin. Again, he must continue to live. Where again here, Jin makes the correct assumption that the pillow's the problem. It's the place where the Mushi sleeps whilst the host is awake and walking around and stuff. Again, nocturnal. Again, that flip. Again, that balance between night and day, which is a really cool concept too. Ginkgo's off getting the water, and his self-destructive tendencies take over once again. No. This is a parasite that has taken hold within you. You cannot just slash at it, for it is integrated with your very soul. You can't take the easy way out. This is almost, again, it's akin to like a suicide attempt almost again, right? Like, hey, this thing is the problem, but the problem is also me. But I also can't be to blame? Oh, best episode thus far. Has to be. It's so good. Oh, he's a blade sharpener too, so he grabs at the sword that he himself had sharpened to harm himself, right? Much like his abilities as kind of a, you know, as a what's the word? A guy that has premonitions, an oracle. His abilities there have been sharpened as well. They just mirror each other so well. So yeah, I have a pillow full of goo, it's full of maggots and stuff. And yeah, that pillow is also me. Yeah. It's a part of me, despite me not wanting it to be. Despite me wanting to sever it off, I need to continue to live with it. It's a great metaphor. You can take it in a million directions. The house catching fire and that fire continuing to spread. The house being the kind of representation of like his family connection, his connection to place, his connection to almost like everything that holds value to him, the place where he's been living. Like again, the Mushi's been living within him. Like it going up in flames as he makes this decision too isn't by accident. It's clearly pointed. In the aftermath, I was fully expecting him to just be dead, but no, he continues to live. We get him good first aid, but Ginkgo still seems wary, troubled, unsure of the decisions made, and yeah, just walking away from this whole thing thinking that we did a bad thing. Now, here's where I'll actually bring up Monogatari too. This is almost the, oh my god, what's the arc called? Nadeko Snake. This is the Nadeko Snake for very early point Mushishi. Now, Nadeko Snake is a feel-bad arc, which has a pretty pointedly bad ending, where we feel terrible about the actions that happened. This is kind of the same thing, and I don't know, maybe it's the hair too, maybe it's the whole, he kind of looks like Araragi. Just kind of sitting here, just kind of unsure, just kind of mulling it over, is the same feeling that I had at the end of that arc too. Just, yeah, could I have done things differently? Walking away fundamentally unsatisfied. Is where we do a little bit of translation too. As Jin comes back to consciousness, he's like, did you know it would play out like this, Mushishi? And he's like, well, it said that the word for makura, which is pillow, comes from tamashi no kura, which is soul storage. So again, you've slashed at your very soul, kind of in the process of trying to sever off this Mushi, right? And yeah, a great bit of philosophy around like your pillow. Like, hey, for 1/3 of your life, it's like right next to where all your thoughts come from. Probably is significant. As well as being that storage, it is also the nesting place of this specific Mushi, as well as their pathway through to reality. I thought that, again, if you cut at something like this, you would be the one to lose something. Between dreams and reality lies soul storage. Unless one takes this path, he cannot go to the land of utopia. Okay, that's where this utopia thing comes back. Maybe that's where we were in the field with the family and stuff. Yeah, interesting. He almost like was in utopia for a second and then kind of got cut away. Yeah, so again, he severed that pathway now, right, between dreams and reality. Goes to show that he won't have dreams from now on, and that kind of being our ending at the very end, right? That kind of like almost cautionary tale that you guys should treasure your ability to dream, as again you almost turn into this husk when that is taken away. In the end here, he just kind of devotes himself to his work as a blade sharpener, never expanding out to the whole premonition space again, never even having dreams, and being a shell of his former self as a result. Notice how the colours are all dulled out here, and we never really see his face again. He just falls into obscurity before just dying, right? His soul was damaged, he was deranged, and then he stabbed himself. He committed suicide. He actually finally did it in the very end. People said that he was afraid to sleep, and yeah, Ginko just marches on. Again, as much as he tried to impart the lesson of just continuing to live, it didn't get through. But he still also internalizes that lesson. Shit, I fucked up, but I also got to keep moving. Doesn't mean I don't feel bummed out about it. Doesn't mean any of that, but hey, what good am I moping over it and feeling the same way that he did? I march on regardless. And yeah, I wonder the significance here of this plant too. Did I just miss that completely? Because this is kind of the mirror image of the one shown very early in the episode with the narrator kind of doing their thing. Yeah, really, really thought-provoking episode. Clearly my favorite thus far, I think. Let's jump into the next one. So, jumping in here, Adashino. New character. He's a doctor. He seems like he purchases the stuff that kind of Ginko goes and finds, because we're playing with the horns here. That was from episode 3. He's also got the kind of tea plate glass thing, sake glass I think it was actually, from episode 1. Hey, I'm going to on-sell these things to you for profit, how I make my money, how I earn my living. This is where Ginko almost takes on the personality trait, in my opinion, of like, it's almost like a snake oil salesman. He's like trying to sell these things and tell the story about them and hawk them off to this guy, but we know that he's telling the truth. He's not a scam artist. He's nothing better than that. He's like, no, I swear it's true. And it sounds fake, but it's real. He absolutely did all this shit. Once again, a little attack on Adashino's own ego, right? This item is too good for the likes of an ordinary collector. That's why I brought it straight to you. Just buttering them up in just the right way. It's really, he's a great character. Like, he's got different modes. He's got different levels. Like, yeah. He's never one note. And yeah, based on his little sale there, he's like, hey, I will give it to you. I will sell it to just to you. No other collector, just you. If you help me with my little tale here, this serves as the framing device for our conflict. So in that way, episodes kind of 4 and 5 are quite similar. We introduce something very early. Like there's a point in both episodes whereby we jump ahead and then come back and explain. So it's like, hey, here's scenario. So, okay, episode 4, it was we go meet Jin, and the town's fucked, and there's nobody there. That's intrigue. We want to know. This one here, we're like, okay, what would Ginko be that desperate to get Adashino's help about? And then we go back and explain that. Like, both episodes have that similar structure. The story that Ginko weaves is about living water, also known as the traveling swamp, the living swamp, all sorts of names. And we get into it here. As Ginko is traveling, as he is wont to do, he sees a hell of a lot of swamps in the mountains, and he's like, what gives? Why are there so many fucking swamps here? He looks down at this specific swamp and notices a girl. So then he thinks to himself, oh, that's a bit weird. Okay, let's continue traveling. Let's not go talk with the girl or nothing. Turns around after climbing the next mountain and then goes, huh. Why is that swamp dry now? That's fucking weird. Okay, it must be some Mushi shit. Now again, my broad theory here too is that the Mushi are kind of following him around. He's a Mushishi. He kind of draws the Mushi in. It's only natural that these kind of, living swamps would follow him as well. I mean, I think that's kind of part of it. However, that's just a living Mushi. That's something, it's not out of the ordinary. That's fine. The out of the ordinary part is the girl that's also here. You walking along with me, or do you have something to do with the water? As the comments kind of foretold as well, we've kind of progressed away from just having kids as the characters in these stories as well. Kind of was a coincidence very early, but yeah, now we've got 2 adult characters in both Jin and I believe you had a name too. Wikipedia says it's Eeyore, so we're going to see if that's a thing. I don't know. Yeah, which are both adult characters, or at least a little bit older. I'm guessing you're probably in your teens or something. Ginkgo confronts her. She seems pretty cagey, but he's curious about the green hair. He's like, alright, something mystical's going on here. I like this too. Ginkgo was good and ready to just keep walking and, you know, let bygones be bygones. He's like, this is beyond my kind of scope at the moment. And then she kind of musters up the courage to ask a question, right? Maybe even almost subconsciously noticing that he's a Mushi-Shi. That could be something. Where it's like, hey, what's that direction? Because that's kind of where we've been going, and I don't really know what's going on. And that's where Ginkgo also sees an opportunity. He's so mischievous. I really like him as a character. Hey, okay, equivalent exchange. If I answer your question, are you going to answer mine? Because I am curious about your hair and whatever the hell you're doing. Over a campfire, we start to explain some things. The swamp is traveling. It's going whichever direction you're going as well, trying to get beyond these mountains. So then, oh, traveling swamp, cool. Why the hell are you along with it? Where she pauses for quite a long time, and then he's like, well, anyway, like, masterful episode character-wise for Ginkgo. Just some great moments. Either way, answering your question, if you go straight ahead, the destination is the sea. I'm off to the fishing village, which is when you make the realization that, if we're going to keep going to the ocean, that may be like the end for us. We may just like disappear and dissipate into it. Oh, some really great metaphor stuff here too. So again, my general read here is that the swamp, or whatever Mushi it is, takes pity on you and leaves you to survive, right? Despite you almost making the decision to be sacrificed along with it, you know, to lose hope and just kind of, you know, this is my lot in life, let's take it. I feel like the Mushi saves you. You're grabbing at like this little plant, this little kind of sapling as you're doing it, right? And we also see that kind of liquid sapling a little bit later on. It goes to show why you're being saved, Imo. It's because of your age. It's because of your youngness, and it's because of your lack of agency of being thrust into this situation as well. You have your whole life left to live. You're just like this little plant, right? Where you need to stop thinking, hey, I'm done here, this is it. And you need to start thinking, hey, this is just the beginning. Just like this little plant here, I could grow into something completely different. We don't know what the potential of this little plant is yet. You're much the same way. Yeah, here we go. Suiko. Liquid Mushi. This is the green thing, right? Wait, no, it's a clear but colorless liquid, but it's alive? Is this thing the... I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Nah, maybe not. Interesting. Okay, the swamp and Suiko are different. But they're kind of similar because if you integrate too much with it, you become kind of a liquid person. Yeah, turning transparent, turning to liquid, floating away. That's all very similar to what happens to her at the very end. So you're kind of shocked that he, you know, believes this phenomenon and has all this extra information. And we're in turn shocked that you never found that frightening. You found comfort in it, right? Where again, a lot of other people would be like, well, shit, there's this weird traveling liquid thing that I'm kind of integrated with. That's odd. You found comfort in that. That's a really distinct kind of difference between you and others. When I found it, it was powerful yet solemn. And I found it whilst I was swimming. Swimming at the bottom of a raging river, swallowed by the currents. So again, instead of this Mushi being something to be feared, it was something that saved me. I was sinking below and below, you know, struggling against the raging water, but it calmly rised from the bottom. It's a calming influence. When I came to, I was in a swamp in a faraway kind of mountain, away from where I was before. My hair had changed color, almost again like saved by the swamp itself and kind of tanned with its color, which becomes significant when this color disappears later on in the episode towards its conclusion. There's that line again. I may have died once, but the swamp said, you may live. Again, living, continuing to go on. It's almost like she gave up hope here in the water, and the swamp gave you another chance. And again, at the very end of the episode, I'm again reading that as the swamp giving you another chance. For me, it felt like this relationship, it was like mutually beneficial. The swamp knows that it's heading towards its death. It's at the end of its life cycle. But for some reason, I need you along with me to create the offspring. So hey, you let me accomplish my thing, and I'm going to let you live again, and live again, and live again. You let me... Here's a bunch more swamps. They're probably going to continue to do the same thing. I'm going to let you go. In the middle of the night, we have the girl here sneaking away as Ginkgo sleeps, and the swamp itself is almost holding up this kimono for her to wear, which again symbolizes her status as the bride and also her status as the sacrifice of the village that she was once a part of. Once again, this is shed at the very end, which is a very significant moment. You're losing that duty, but you're also losing that kind of ball and chain. You're losing the thing that was kind of binding you to this duty, you know? A flashback here to her time with her parents, probably, as she's chosen to be the sacrifice. Wear this kimono at all times, think of it as becoming the bride of the water god. Then yeah, these stupid fucking skeleton village people sacrifice her. It seems, again, like a flood was happening or something, and we're sacrificing this girl to save our village. Again, just... I don't know. Not something I would do, but I guess justifiable given the circumstances. And again, it's almost like it pains her to do so, right? This is my kind of cross I have to bear until it is kind of, by the net as well, which is great, it's kind of shed from me, you know? Shit, I fucking hate that I have to put this on and continue to do this thing, but I must. And then she goes off and kind of leaves Ginkgo in the lurch. Yeah, this is the thing I was talking about before, very similar to the one she was grasping in the conversation. Just a little plant, this one here made of water. Again, to me, it's like new life. It's like a new beginning. It's like I'm very young. It's like all these things. She also reiterates Ginkgo's words here about the Suiko, where it's like, hey, if I continue to be around this thing, I'll eventually go transparent, I'll turn to water, all that other kind of stuff. But again, I'm bearing this cross at the moment. I guess that's my lot in life. I saved my family, I guess. I'm out of here. This is when, again, despite me wanting to talk with Ginkgo more, I'm bound to the water. The water kind of drains, it goes somewhere else. I'm duty bound to go along with it. And Ginkgo's left surprised, and that's when we jump back in with Adashino. But before that, this line too. I'm going to become part of this swamp now. Now, this is hitting the same thing as old mate Jin, previous episode, saying that he doesn't know what he's to do anymore. He doesn't know if he can continue on. It's like, hey, I'm going to become part of this swamp now. I'm essentially going to die. I'm going to dissipate. I'm going to dissolve. No, you're not. Ginkgo's adamant on this. He's like, no, we're going to save you. Such an integral part of his character is this idea of wanting to go on and continue to live and continue to see more and keep marching on despite your circumstances. I don't know, Mushi are life. Mushi the essence of life. This is almost a denial of kind of the teaching of Mushi, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's all linked. It's all linked in a really cool way. We see one of these kind of plant water things also burst here at this time and dissolve. Again, if that's not reinforcing that it's a metaphor for her, for the woman here, then I don't know what does. And yeah, once again, linking, this is a Suiko. Okay, we confirmed that. That's good. And it's almost like this hunch that Ginkgo gets too, that she does indeed want to live. You know, that she does indeed want to continue. And he's right. At the end of the episode, we see her so very full of life. He's proven correct. She did want to continue to live. This is when he kind of gets the idea. The swamp was heading towards the sea. I know who's near the sea over here. Let's go talk with my mate, Adashino, see if we can't work something out. And it turns out Adashino has some knowledge. Hey, sometimes some large green shit comes through here and kind of dissolves when it hits the sea. Our fishermen have told us that, so maybe that's what we're talking about here. And it seems like Adashino has some amount of, like, status in the community. Like, he can rally the troops and go to the fishermen and ask them to do something, and they're happy to work for him, so I don't know, he seems pretty chill. He seems like a cool guy that just has connections and stuff. And yeah, he's like, well, the day's still young. The fisherman would have told me if it had come through, so let's hold hope that it hasn't, right? A couple of interesting things here. For one, what the he just keeps fucking trinkets and, like, vials and stuff. He's an odd person. But more importantly, we talk about dowsing here, which I thought was an interesting one, considering that's pretty mystical. People believe in that kind of thing, and has special vibration abilities or something. I don't really know, but thought it was an interesting mention, as well as kind of overlapping the two maps and seeing where old rivers used to be, ancient rivers, as well as underground water reserves, which is kind of how this Mushi is traveling. Just some good old investigation stuff. I don't know, I was pretty happy with it. I don't know, goes to show the everlasting nature of the Mushi, that they've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, that they just are a fact of life and, you know, continue to do things the same way they always have. Yeah, here's that moment. Overlap those maps, buddy. What a hero. From there, we pinpoint the estuary, and we get a big net, get the fishermen to help. Everyone's kind of pitching in a cool way. It's probably the first time we've got the community of a town involved, and and whatnot. I guess there was a little bit of that in episode 3 in the snow, but this one we just straight up, hey, everyone get out here with a net. Even though we don't understand what's going on, we trust Adashino, so we're going to do this shit for him. I just thought it was a really cool feeling, and it, once again, something the show hadn't done already. I'm starting to think this show's just, like, really good. Yeah. I was kind of, I don't know, I wasn't not liking the show before this point, but I guess I just didn't really get it and what it was going for yet, completely. This is when I'm, like, sold, right? And they say, like, 3-episode rule or whatever, but I feel like this is, like, the 5-episode rule. Now I'm fucking, like, in. I'm, like, super in on what we're doing with this show now that I fully understand it. We've also shown an ability to be different and surprise, which is big, big, big for me, too. It just has this quality of these stories feel like they've just been told forever and ever and ever. And this is just kind of that classic retelling, almost feeling very Studio Ghibli in that way as well. Just these tales that have been around for so very long and are timeless, right? And we get the kind of privilege of seeing them adapted like this in the here and now. It's a show almost without cynicism, again, which is very different to the current landscape of shows. There's nary a lick of irony in it, right? It's just very straightforward. It's just good. It's just really good. Adashino here with the very interesting question, one which Ginkgo kind of avoids, but hey, why do you care so much about this? Why do you want to save this girl? I know you probably have a guilty conscience. And yeah, the girl said she wanted to die. What gives? What are you getting out of this, basically? And this is when we get this great anecdote which links to earlier stuff in the show and goes to show that he's taken learnings from it, right? So, say this girl here, she dissolves, becomes a Mushi, all that other kind of stuff, right? But it takes that next step, which she thinks that she wants to take. This reminds me of Renzu, who took that step to becoming a Mushi if it meant I got to see my grandson again, right? And the thing that links these two cases is that in both cases, they're both willing participants. They both want to progress to this next stage. But hey, I thought that Renzu over here didn't really understand what she was signing up for, right? Becoming a Mushi means forever. Like forever, right? It's different from a normal death. It's kind of an existence between living and dead. They are living like people, but also inanimate like objects. They're dead yet alive. They're in a constant balance between the two. Now again, if you're just teetering between life and death constantly, isn't that akin to pain? Isn't it akin to forever experiencing the moment of death? Akin to almost a purgatory of sorts? I feel like it's a purgatory with function still. You're still like doing something, right? You're still providing, but like it never ends, I guess, too. And yeah, that humanity is erased little by little, and you become these things that I often have to go and exterminate and stuff, right? Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the best deal in the world, but it's what she wanted, so I did it. Now, faced with the same situation again, after such reflection, I don't want to do it. I don't want her to, especially a young girl, which is the connection here too, a young person, right? I don't want them to make this decision very early in life that they then kind of regret later on, And again, I know Renzu's also an old lady, shut up, but like her naivete, Renzu's, is being kind of, shown off by her youngness as well, by her youth, that she didn't really understand what she was signing up for, and I don't think that I told her enough. So again, I don't have the chance to tell this girl that she shouldn't do this. Let me kind of make this decision for her almost. However, when I saw her that final time, she was wearing her finest kimono with care. It didn't look like somebody that had given up, somebody that wanted to die and dissolve and pass. Ironically, it is that kimono and kind of divorcing her from that, which divorces her from the purpose, which allows her to, continue to live, to live another life and not be kind of consigned to this role as the bride, right? Shout out to this guy in the fucking tree with the pan. I've been very, kind of solemn and stoic in this kind of section thus far. This guy kills me. He's very funny. That's good, yeah. I like everyone in the water here too. Adashino's in here having a tug. We like that. Awful way to frame it, to say that, but anyway. And again, like I said, we saw a figure shoot past. It must have been her. And again, she sheds that kimono in that process. Now this is when Ginkgo thinks he's failed, but lo and behold, he didn't fully understand yet. For there is instead light breaking through the clouds. There's a little bit of hope on our darkest of days. She doesn't just dissolve. Now, another thing I really like here is this kind of life cycle element to it all. Okay, this green thing has kind of floated down from the mountains and dissolved, right? This Mushi, this essence of life. And it's brought great schools of fish along with it to feed on whatever essence is there, which in turn feeds the fishermen, which in turn feeds the village. My sacrifice here, spreading out, is proliferated life for both the fish and the fishermen and the people around it and stuff. Much like, again, traveling through the mountains, making these kind of swamp offspring type places, right? Hey, I'm going around here, and in my last moments, I'm spreading as much life around as possible. But I just think it's really beautiful. I like it. And of course, along with that metaphor as well, is continuing on the life of the girl. Much to our surprise, we do find her, although she looks kind of like gelatin. She's very kind of translucent and stuff. Seems like the seawater itself washed out a lot of that green stuff. I'm also saying that getting rid of that kimono also got rid of that purpose, got rid of that green hair, turned it back to normal. Love this moment here too. The girl wakes up and she immediately starts to cry. I did continue to live. I didn't sacrifice myself. I haven't dissolved. It's this really complicated feeling of I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I'm continuing to be me. I'm happy that I'm not just in the water anymore either. But also sadness. She'd grown an attachment to the swamp. It was, again, almost like a marriage, right? I lost my partner that cared for me, that saved me, that kind of told me that I could continue to live. But I also am continuing to live. It's happy and sad at the same time. And an admission here as well. I actually was so terrified of dissolving into the swamp. Terrified of dying, terrified of that transition point between living and whatever's next, Mushi or otherwise, but also thankful for the sacrifice. Ginkgo reframes this. You should be proud of your accomplishment. You helped it complete its final journey, complete its life cycle. It's now bringing pride and joy to everybody else, and it also saved you. You should be proud of what you did. Again, linking this all the way back to the sacrifice that she made for her village as well. You should be proud of your courage to do so as well, to stand up and do such a thing. It was fortunate that you two met. You didn't cause its death. You could be sad that they died, but you also helped them fulfill their function. Remember, it's a Mushi. It's just a fact of life. In our epilogue here, we finally get that name drop. Io, which is maybe a name that she got given after the fact too. Hair is now black, which is different from the green. Shows that she's progressed, transitioned. She's now just a fisher girl. She's working in this village now. Seems pretty chill. Sure. The fish is a great connection to the sacrifice of, our good friend the Suiko as well. Once again, yeah, they feed on the swamp's carcass, which is an interesting way to put it. And you look at it solemnly, but understanding of the sacrifice too. Vowing instead to live independently here by the sea where the swamp died, forever connected, although that connection is severed and I can grow on to new and different things. This is where I'm also like, okay, can this be a permanent location? Can we see Adashino again? I really hope so. I really liked him. And once again, as I've explained previously, as Ginkgo walks back from the coast now, sees all those empty swamp beds, now filled up with water. We've kind of created new life of these swamps along the mountains, as well as our sacrifice in the water creating new life, as well as letting Io live on, as well as feeding the town, as well as it's all just a net kind of good. Although melancholic, as I kind of led in this segment with. And yeah, just a really, really thoughtful, beautiful end to the episode. Once again, melancholic, but kind of needed along the way there too. Again, Mushi are a fact of life. They're like fulfilling their purpose by doing this thing with the swamp. That's my read. I, once again, really like the episode. Yeah, upon thinking about those two episodes, masterful. Really love them. What a session. What a show. It's really quite good. Next week, 2 more. Look forward to it. Patreon, they should already be up there, of course. Like the video, subscribe, all that other kind of stuff. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again. Catch you next week for more Mushishi. I look forward to it greatly. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.